Okay, folks, this is James Melvin. He's been my producer for several of these little programs. He's today's conversationalist, and we were just discussing about his having been a resident of Wethersfield, going to high school, post-high school, correct?
Yes, post-high school.
And now is a university student.
Mm-hmm.
Which school again?
So Iona University.
And that's in New York?
Yep.
Near which large city?
We're in New Rochelle, so we're not too far from the large city in New York City.
Yeah, well, that must be very good. Well, you have access to a whole bunch of interesting places.
Yeah, no.
Including New York City.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you're a major in school at present?
I'm a media and strategic communications major, and then I have a concentration in digital production, and I'm finishing up my minor in political science, and next year I'll get a minor in English.
Okay.
So by the time it's all done, I'll have all that.
So where is the trajectory taking you, you hope?
I'm hoping that I can keep doing kind of what I'm doing here at the station now. I don't think I'm going to go down the public access route, but something feels good about being in a station and being like with cameras, with equipment. I don't feel like natural in a lot of settings, but you know, like when you're doing something and there's like the things that you have to do, and then when you really start doing something and you like it, it's just like second nature, doing all that. That's, you know, setting up the cameras.
What year are you in terms of your schooling?
I'm going to be going into my senior year this fall. So
projecting forward more, where would you be first applying for work?
There's an iHeartMedia that's not too far from where I am, that's located in Hartford. And I think that'd be really
I listen to them a lot.
Yeah, I used to listen to like all the radio shows growing up. When I was like on my way to school, it was like a big routine. Even now, like, you know, the Elvis Duran show, things like that. Like that was the first kind of like entertainment I ever really remember like being excited to like listen for, and it's always like a good sort of morning commute thing. So I keep up with their like job postings there to see what they have, you know, on LinkedIn or just like their website.
Well, I'm particularly partial to FM, you know, like the public radio station, stuff like that, and I find them more peaceful.
I know what you mean. I'm the same way. I've always been like, I just feel like FM's always so much easier for people to get into.
Well, it doesn't quite go into the same kind of, everybody seems to want to be on AM, seems to want to be a shock jock kind of programming. And I get tired of that. I want some peace and something uplifting for a change, instead of everybody griping about everything.
Yeah, no, it's a whole nother world. So I don't know if I'd want to even get into necessarily like being on radio, because we had someone come in. We have a lot of like graduates from Iona that come in and talk to the class, and they basically go through like, you know, when I graduated, here's where I applied, and here's the classes I took. And this one girl came in and she works at a radio station now. She was so like happy and passionate, like everything she was telling us about, like even the parts of work that she didn't like, you could just tell she was so excited about it. And the whole time I was just sitting there and I was like, I don't want to do
enthusiasm
any
is catching. It's contagious.
I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know, I just don't think I'd want to do so much of like the broadcast. Like I love more so all the like behind the scenes work, like setting everything up, the scheduling. Like I like schedules, I like calendars, I like having to like, you know, have to call people. Love having
you
like,
take this tape with you, dear, and use it as for a job interview.
Yeah, I had to do that. So working with Wethersfield Station, there's a grant that you can apply for school. And so I had to give them not an audition tape. I put everything in a website. And it's projects that I've been in, projects that I helped make, ones that I like produced. So it's a lot of having like portfolios, and they call them like reels too. So you can have like a news reel, you can have a sports reel. I don't really like sports. I've done a lot of entertainment, so I have a few of those. But when I go
What
back
kind
to
of
school,
entertainment? You play an instrument or something?
no, I wish. That'd be great if I had some type of talent. I do a lot of like writing.
Oh,
So I've
very good.
written like short films. A lot of class projects are, create a character list, create a setting, and then write out a couple scripts. And then out of those scripts, pick one that you want to film.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, no, it's a blast. Like it's the one thing that like you said, like enthusiasm, like it's when I'm like really in it, even the parts that I don't like doing, even when, I wanted to film at 3 p.m. and now someone can't be here till 3:30, and so now everything gets pushed back 30 minutes. Like even when it's at its worst, I love like every second of it. Like I don't want to spend that much time doing anything else but like working with cameras.
And
like
if you can bring in your creative impulse, writing and stuff, that would be great. And give you an outlet for that.
Yeah, definitely. So that's my plan when I go back to school, is to start fleshing out those things. 'Cause I'm very like camera shy, so I tend to be behind the camera. So it's really hard to find avenues to like tell stories that I want to tell, because I normally just spend so much time like doing what I do with you, where it's like someone else has a really good idea, and I want to help them make their idea a reality.
Hey,
I love doing that for people.
do what you love to do. You'll get there very quickly. And go further than you ever dreamt, I am sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for too.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Pray a lot. And stick to it.
Yeah, of course.
And keep on writing. I always wish that what I do is, when I write, what I do is like, something bothers me, I'm up in the middle of the night and I'm going to write a letter to the editor. I never send them, but I get all the bad feelings out of my system onto paper and I can throw it away.
Yeah, that's always the best thing to do, is whenever you're angry. I do a lot of like job training while I'm there, and that was like the first lesson they did, was when they were like, if you're really angry at your boss, take a piece of paper and write down every negative thing you can say, and then wait a day, and then read it tomorrow. And if you read it tomorrow and you go, oh my gosh, I'd be so embarrassed if I like sent this to my boss, then you know it was better to not send it.
Well, our friend was pushing me to send one of these letters to the editor, but I gave it a few days and I thought, no, I got it out of my system. All the negative feelings are gone. I'm not going to do it. You're in your senior year at Iona. You're looking for a possible career, your trajectory. You like to write. You're looking for a trajectory into what, news media or entertainment, one or the other?
Yeah, either news or entertainment. I don't write enough news stuff, but that's kind of my goal going into this semester, is to finally start like doing some of that writing, because that was what really got me into reading. I like hated reading, and I didn't know at the time, but my dyslexia runs in my family, so it was one of those, like, I really struggled with reading as a kid, and then it turned into, like, I don't want to do this anymore because I hate it. And it's hard, and I don't want to read.
Well, I have to tell you a funny story about my experience. I learned to read when I was 6. Well, but I was very inattentive, and at that time they allowed corporal punishment in schools. She'd slap my hand with a ruler, saying, you're not paying attention, Once I got to read, you couldn't stop me. I was running around my neighborhood asking for people, do you have something I could read? And my really great thing about reading was I found somebody that had an entire shed full of National Geographics. And someone had given them to her because she'd had young children, but they were long gone now. But she still had all those National Geographics. I sat there for the whole summer of my 7th year reading National Geographics. And when I got back to school, well, apparently stayed with me so well that in 5th grade, we were discussing, the European conquest of the New World, Cortez and all that stuff, and the Incas, and I'd read all about that. And I apparently retained a very good memory of it. I could quote paragraphs from things I'd read way back when I was 7. And so they were very impressed in school.
Yeah, that's good.
But again, and the thing, they started to bring the library to the schools.
Yep.
And I was taking out, I loved fairy tales. And the big thick books that these English gentleman of yore had gone around different parts of the world collecting folk tales and, all of the 1001 Nights kind of thing from the Middle East, the Chinese fables and stuff like that. And I would be going out of the library with books this thick, and there was the green book, there was the red book, there was the blue book, all of different fairy tales and such. And the librarian saying, "Those are too old for you. You can't read those." And I said, "Oh, yes, I can, and I want them." And I went off with the big books. And I wasn't one for much in the way of athletics, which was fortunate because it happened that I had a wonky heart from the beginning, but I didn't know it then. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't into athletics, but I loved to read. So that's how I'd spend my recesses. Mm-hmm. And all. But anyway, you go on with your story.
Yeah. No, same thing. Once you find what it is that you want to read, mm-hmm. it's so hard to put them down. Mm-hmm. And so I could never do like long novels, mm-hmm. but even the things that we would like read in English class, mm-hmm. like every once in a while, like a book would stick out and mm-hmm. I really liked it, mm-hmm. but it was like the majority of them, it was like give or take if I actually read them. Sometimes I'd just like flip through the pages. Mm-hmm. But when I got to college, I really realized that I liked reading and I liked knowing. Mm-hmm. So now I'm trying to translate that into like, I read so much, and you always have, I get it a lot doing more media studies, because mm-hmm. they'll go over like, when you're filming a certain shot, use this type of lighting. When you're filming a certain shot, use this type of like camera movement. And so when you start to watch like movies and TV shows, you start to pick out all those things. And it happened with reading, where I was like reading a couple books, or like I'd read an article or two, and I was like, I could probably do it like way better if you gave me the chance. And I realized that it got to the point where if I was going to keep saying and keep thinking like, oh, I could do it so much better, or mm-hmm. I could create something as good as this, mm-hmm. I just have to do it. I have to stop kind of like saying it. Mm-hmm. So I've been reading a lot more. I already finished one book this summer that my girlfriend gave me, mm-hmm. And I loved it. It's part of a series, so mm-hmm. I'm hoping we can read the series. I started another one that my little brother had, mm-hmm. That I never got around to reading as a kid, mm-hmm. but it's like great. I love it.
Yeah, good. Well, I loved science fiction at one point. By the mm-hmm. time I got to junior high, science fiction was my thing. I just ate it up. And, I always say that I learned my ethics from Hans Christian Andersen. Yeah. Anyway, so, yeah, I'm very into the literary. We just started a new book club here, but it's not where somebody assigns you a book and everybody reads the same book for a month. Uh-huh. It's where you bring whatever you've been reading for the past month and share it with everybody.
That's nice.
And it doesn't have to be a book necessarily, although the person that's moderating this program has apparently in her working career worked with publishing houses in New York, so she gets all these advanced copies of what's coming out. So it should be interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but she said it's all right if you see something in a magazine that you feel is, touched you in some way. Yeah. Share it with us,
Yeah, you have to always start small. That's what it was with me. Like I don't think I could read what I'm reading now without starting with like exactly that. Like you read a really interesting news article, mm-hmm. and even though it's like a paragraph or two, it's like the best thing that you've seen all day. Mm-hmm. And that's what it was with me. Like I would read these news articles because I was bored, or like I just wanted to know what was going on in the world. And you're always kind of like hit with headlines, but I would never like read past the headlines. It was mm-hmm. always just like, I like that headline, I don't like that headline. So I started reading like these really small, just like articles from people that were talking about what was going on. Mm-hmm. And then I wanted to read more than that. And then I wanted to read things that weren't always like, sometimes the news gets very like sad. Most of the stories are like either something terrible happening, something terrible has happened, or something terrible is going to happen.
Well, I'm a big fan of PBS.
Yeah, I wanted something that was a lot more like lighthearted. So that's why I started reading like fiction books now, and why I'm starting with like writing with fiction. Mm-hmm. And it was like only probably earlier this week. It was the first time I sat down and I took out like a pen and paper and said like, I'm just going to spend the next hour just writing anything, like just free writing for the mm-hmm. next like hour. Because mm-hmm. if I keep saying I'm going to do it, I'm never going to do it. unless I just give myself an hour and create like a space where
It's work.
I'm not
it
doing
really
it.
is work.
Yeah. So I started that.
Mm-hmm. Good for you.
Thanks.
And you're only going to be with us a few more weeks?
Yeah.
Is that long? Well,
Yep. I have 20. I'm going back August 11th. I'll have to be on campus.
Yeah.
So it's like less than 30 days at this
well,
point.
James, I want you to keep in touch with us, with Ron and with the station, and
Yeah, of course. I have to
tell us
come
about
back.
how you're doing, and yeah, come back.
I have to come back for the station celebrating its 40-year anniversary, like the first or second week of September.
Oh, well.
I think they have a date, or they're like finalizing the last date. It's
Well,
going to be.
what kind of a celebration is it going to be? They're going to have a banquet or what?
Yeah, it's an open house. I don't think it's as much of a banquet, but they just want to open the station, get all the board members in, and then open it up to everyone to kind of come in.
Would like use the big room here in the community center, or?
No, use the station, because we've had a lot of work done recently with the lighting. We've got the TriCaster. We have all the equipment in the equipment room. Of course, you're on the VIP list. Actually, we have your own little
How could I be?
section.
Anyway, well, it's delightful. I mean, what is there anything else? Well, you have a girlfriend.
Yes. I do.
Okay. And I don't know, is this just a casual relationship or something you might develop?
No, it's great. I have my other.
That's very personal. Forgive me.
Yes, no, my other half. She is the other half of my necklace, and
Okay,
together it makes
yeah.
something. So she's
you
great.
have a sense of commitment to one another.
Yeah, I just got us these matching bracelets. She got us the matching.
Yeah.
We've been together for.
Is she interested?
almost 3
Is she
years.
also at Iona in a similar field as yourself?
No, she's in psychology. She really likes the brain, how people think. She wants to. She just got an internship now working at a call center, but it's like a text center.
Okay.
So it's for people that are going through like sort of mini crises. She's either going to determine like if they're someone that needs like real professional help immediately, or if they're just looking for someone to like talk to for the next like hour or two. So she'll be doing that in the fall. And same thing, like she loves learning about the brain. She loves reading all the different books on psychology and all that. So she's great.
I love the part, well, I was a nurse for 53 years, but I love the advances they made in neuroscience. And what marvelous things that they can do, bringing people back from strokes and such. And the whole idea that you can, even with something like development of Alzheimer's, they can bring back people, at least mitigate what's happening to them by teaching the brain to pick up the places that are now lapsed because of whatever injury has occurred with the illness.
Interesting.
And how to prevent it even. So there's a lot going on in that field. It's related because it's health issues.
Yeah, it's good. There's some of that I took a PR class, and it was all about, how different colors get people to feel different things. It's an advertising class, and it was the same thing. It's trying to understand, like, the human brain, how people think, and how you can broadcast a message to them effectively.
How you influence them, actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a lot of that, too. So, I don't know, that was another one. Like, the more I learned of it, the less I was kind of into like advertising and PR, because it is so much on like how to influence people to do the thing that you want them to do. And I kind of like
manipulating people, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not for me. I like the opposite of it. Like I like using media and using broadcast as a way for people to tell their stories and using it in order to.
We're in agreement.
Exactly. That's why I love coming in and I love helping you with your show. Like even if, because I don't know how the whole world's going to look in a year. I don't know what the job market's going to be in 2 years. I don't know what position I might have, when I'm 25 or when I'm 30. That all I think is going to come with time, with opportunities that open up, what I open myself up to. But, I know for a fact that of course I want to come back and help at the community center.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Have faith as you go forward. Even if you get slammed on something, that you want and you don't get it and all that, never be disappointed. Just keep going ahead. know what your goal is. You may find that you have other goals as you progress.
Yeah.
But, don't be discouraged in any way.
Yeah. No, it's such good advice because I applied for internship after internship. I applied to 3 different internships for the summer, and I got rejected on all of them. And I made it as far as to an interview in one, and it was the worst interview I've ever had. Like, normally I don't mind, like, talking to people. This was one that, from the start, I just think everyone was uncomfortable. And it was, that was like one of the most disheartening things. Like, I remember I wanted to change my major after all that because I was like, I've been doing all this work.
Those people have problems.
Mm-hmm.
They're not your problems.
Yeah.
It's their problems. You know what you are, and going forward, what your goal is. No problem. I mean, don't be discouraged.
Yeah. So a teacher of mine offered a contact that worked at Nourishell Public Access Television, and he was looking for help with their Thanksgiving Day parade. And I went there it was like the day before filming to meet everyone and get my roles, and then the day of filming, we went and I helped film their Thanksgiving Day parade. Nourishell throws its own one. And it was like the most fun I had ever had, and that was what made me reach out to Wethersfield Community Television and say, like, hey, even if, you just need someone to come in once or twice a day, like, I'd love to just get involved. I had so much fun. I didn't even know that some place like this even existed if it wasn't for a friend of a friend of a friend.
Even in Wethersfield, some people don't even know that it's here.
I know.
I had to tell the mayor of the town, it's in here in the community center. He came right down here. Sign up. Hey, I want to talk.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. And it's exactly that of like getting people who, you live next door to. Not everything has to be as big. We have a thing at Iona where it's like, think globally, act locally. And it's like the best message ever because you don't ever have to even go far to meet people who are going to be like extraordinary. You don't even have to like move to someplace crazy to get everything. All the equipment, all the opportunities that I've gotten here are in my backyard. I didn't have to worry about moving someplace or working at some big, large company. There was something like in my own town. What are your big plans for the fall or going forward?
Well, I want to join the art class because they seem to have a great deal of fun here. And I would love to line up the ladies that do the preschool here across the hall from us.
Okay.
That they do a fantastic job with little 3-year-olds, and it's amazing. They have them learning about the life cycle of butterflies.
Yes, I remember.
By doing drawings and stuff like that. I think it's fantastic that they're teaching them things like that at such tender ages with great success by using crafts and everything. And they do a fantastic job with the crafts in particular. And they have, it would amazes me, how do you have an entire room full of 20 or so little kids of that age? How do you keep control of them?
Yeah, teach them all about the butterfly. It's hard to work with kids.
Am I moving again? I'm moving around too much. Again. Well, anyway, but you will keep us apprised of your activities and you'll keep in touch with us, I hope.
Yeah, of course. No, I'm going to definitely come back at least as long as I'm in Wethersfield. I'm going to keep in touch. I'm not too far away. I used to never, like I said, I didn't grow up in town. So I wasn't as connected with the community center, but I'm with Phyllis. Like, I love coming in here and just meeting someone that I've never met before, and you have a whole conversation, and there's this whole world that exists in someone else's eyes, and they're off, teaching 3-year-olds about butterflies, and I was doing everything that I do in my world, and I had no idea that there's this whole other world that's just in a different room down the hall. I love meeting people who are so passionate.
What I like? I like the fact this is one of the reasons I would never go into a elder living situation, because I love the yeast of a neighborhood of all age groups, all generations, and the community center, of course, brings us all together. It doesn't separate us out into little parcels.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I really love about this community center.
Yeah, that's the thing that I want to take with me most going back into school, is my club has the same issue where we have people that do shows like this, but everyone does their own individual show. And so there's very deep pockets that people go into. And what we want to do is have people like connect with each other and have all these shows that normally just come in, do their thing, and not really talk to anyone, have them start to talk to each other and, you know, take advantage of being in a community. You know, it's nice to get what you need out of a community, but it's always the things that you don't know that you're going to get that always make the biggest impact on you.
True, and this whole idea is you are part of a community. People tend to separate out. This is not healthy for a community. Bring them together.
Exactly.
Well, good luck to you. I look forward to seeing you in your rise.
Thank you. I'll keep
career.
you updated, Alice, of course. I'll have to come back and keep doing your show. I hope you get a new producer
I hope
that'll
so too.
help you with it, but I mean this in the nicest way. I hope they're not as good as me, so I can get my old spot back when I
Few
come back.
people, I think, have your sensitivity. I think you have great sensitivity.
Thank you.
And, you know, I think that will carry you very far, dear.
Thank you.
Very far. I'm so happy you've had the opportunity to meet you.
Yeah, I loved this. This was so much fun. It's nice being on the other side.
Okay. Good.
All right. Well, thank
God
you
bless
so
you.
much, Alice. You too.